Hi folks, HR Funk here, coming to you the week between Christmas and New Year's Day with my final video of 2023. But before I get into it, I want to say I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah, or if you celebrate anything else this time of year, I hope it was fantastic for you as well. I hope you all got to celebrate the holidays with friends and family, and here's hoping for a safe and happy New Year. The video that I'm going to be doing today has become something of a tradition over the last several years, and what I'm going to be doing in just a few minutes is selecting my favorite firearm of 2023. In front of me, I have all the contenders for that title, and these are all firearms that have come into my collection during the course of the last 12 months. And I'll be reintroducing them to you and telling you a little bit of information about them. But if you want a lot of information, each one of these firearms has a video, or more than one, dedicated specifically to it. So you can go to those videos, all of which have been produced over the course of the last 12 months, and you can get lots and lots of information. Once I reintroduce all the contestants, I'm going to start to work my way through them. And if you've seen one of these videos before, you know how I do it. I start out with everything on the table, and then one by one, I remove various firearms from the table. And when I remove it from the table, that firearm is out of contention. And I'll tell you my rationale behind why I'm removing this or that firearm from contention for my favorite of 2023. But I'll also tell you it's not always absolutely positively objective criteria. Sometimes there's a cool factor with some firearms. Sometimes there's just something about that particular firearm that I like a little bit better, or something about another one that, while I like it, they wouldn't be on the table if I didn't like these firearms. So I really like each and every one of them for various reasons, but I have to decide which one I like the most. And I've got to tell you, if you've never done something like this, it's a little bit like trying to choose your favorite child. I work my way through these, and for those of you watching, you'll see that I'll remove one of the firearms from the table, and then there will be a pause, or I should say a transition in the video. During that transition, I am standing here thinking, trying to figure out which one I'm going to remove next and why. And that tends to, on my end, get longer and longer after each selection. Usually the first one or two are a little easier, but after I get farther and farther in the selection process, it gets harder and harder to remove the next one from the table. So this is kind of a difficult exercise for me. And throughout the year, as I acquire firearms, I try to avoid thinking to myself, well, how is this one going to work when I get to my year-end video for my favorite firearm of that year? I try to come into this with no preconceptions to the degree that it's humanly possible, and evaluate them all starting from absolute zero, and then I make my decision in the moment during this video. So you all get to see what my thinking is, why I'm removing it, and maybe later on next week or next month I'll think, you know, I shouldn't have done that, I should have gone the other way or whatever. But this is going to be the decision I make today. So now let's get on with reintroducing each one of the contenders for my favorite firearm of 2023. So I'll try to introduce the contenders for my favorite firearm of 2023 more or less in the order in which they came into my collection during the course of the year. First up is going to be my Iver Johnson 1911A1 chambered for the .38 Super cartridge. I originally got this handgun for test and evaluation from House of Pain Armament, and I liked it so much that I ended up purchasing it, mainly because I finally had a 1911 chambered for the .38 Super cartridge that will run reliably. I don't think I've ever had a malfunction with this pistol, and previously I had two other 1911s chambered for .38 Super. The very first one I had a lot of trouble with. The last one I had intermittent trouble with. This one finally runs great. The accuracy is good. The only issue I had is when I first got it, it hit very, very low with the fixed sights that came as standard equipment. I replaced the rear sight with a combat adjustable MMC unit, and since that time I dialed it in and the accuracy is very good. So I like this pistol. I like the .38 Super cartridge. and the Ivor Johnson 1911A1 is the first firearm in contention for my favorite of 2023. The next firearm up for the position of my favorite of 2023 is my Tizosh Raider. And the Raider is a handgun that from the time I first saw it announced in the coverage of the 2023 SHOT Show, I knew I wanted to try out. The Raider is a clone of the Marine Corps' M45A1 for a whole lot less money. I tested this handgun extensively. I did a 1,000-round test on it. It has been a tremendous firearm. It's one that I very, very much like. I'm glad that I tested it. I very quickly purchased it after that test, and it is the second firearm in contention for my favorite of 2023. Next up is a handgun that wasn't even on my radar at the beginning of 2023, and I think I tested this as a result of viewers asking for a review, and it is the Canik Mete SF. And when I tested this handgun, I came away so impressed, much like I did with the Canik Rival Darkside last year, that I very quickly added it to my collection. I use this handgun quite frequently, and it is very, very impressive, as I said, when it comes to its performance. It's extremely accurate. It shoots well for me. The trigger is phenomenal. There is really nothing bad I can say about this handgun. If you're interested in a Canik Mete, I would say don't hesitate, pick one up. You're not going to be disappointed. And that's number 3 in contention for my favorite firearm of 2023. Next up is the second handgun that I saw in the 2023 SHOT Show coverage that I knew I wanted to add to my collection as soon as I saw it. It is the Walther P99 Final Edition. This handgun took some work to actually get it. Mimi was trying to get it for me for my birthday. House of Pain was not able to get it in for that, but through a lot of effort from the folks at House of Pain and some persistence, I was finally able to add the P99 Final Edition to my collection. It is a tremendous handgun. It's one that I really like having in the collection. If you're not familiar with why I wanted this handgun and all the reasons that I like the Walther P99, go back and watch the videos that I produced earlier in the year, because it is also number 4 in contention for my favorite firearm of 2023. If I remember correctly, the next contender was actually introduced in late 2022, and it is the IWI Masada 9S, aka the Masada Slim. And I am such a fan of the full-size Masada that when a compact Masada Slim was introduced, I wanted to try it out. And this is another tremendous handgun. I mated it with the Mechanic Red Dot Optic, and this became my new concealed carry handgun for 2023, and still is. I carry this handgun a lot. It's extremely carryable. It has been drop dead reliable. It is certainly accurate enough for anything I need it to do, and it is number 5 in contention for my favorite firearm of 2023. Next is another firearm that I hadn't really considered much. I walked into Hop Armament one day and Mr. E there said, hey, you got to try one of these. It's fantastic. So I got the Tizosh Tank Commander. This is the second Tizosh 1911 pistol that's in contention for my favorite of 2023. The Tank Commander is a commander-sized 1911, as the name implies, really decked out in World War II fashion. It is a 1911 A1 configuration with the arched mainspring housing and all the other features of the 1911 A1 pistol. And when I shot this thing, I liked it so much, and you might have seen the video because I was at the end of it saying, you know, I really don't need this pistol, but I like it. I was asking those of you out there whether you think I should buy it, and you guys were like, buy it, buy it, buy it. So you're all enablers. Here it is, and it is number 6 in contention for my favorite firearm of 2023. The last handgun of the group has kind of a sad story attached to it. It is the Girsan MC14T as imported by European American Armory. And if you saw the first time that I tested one of these handguns, you know that I had some problems with it. I was contacted later on by EAA. They sent me this handgun. I retested it. And what I discovered is if you feed this handgun ammunition that it likes, it is very, very reliable. And the ammunition that I tested both the first handgun with and this handgun did not run real well. It was a flat-pointed 380. And I ended up testing it with other types of ammunition and discovering it ran very, very well with ammunition at light. The reason this is still here is because I was going to give this to my father-in-law. His health was declining and he did not have a lot of hand strength and a lot of dexterity like he once did. And because of the configuration of this handgun, its manual of arms, and one thing and another, I thought that it would be a very good handgun for him. Unfortunately, he passed away before I was able to give it to him. So it's still here with me. I was never able to give it to him, but I couldn't not include it in the firearms from 2023. So here it is. It is number 7 in contention for my favorite firearm of 2023. Next up is the first long gun of the group, and that is the Military Armament Corporation Model 1014 shotgun, which is a clone of the Benelli M4. And I got this shotgun in for a test, and I'm still testing it. You've probably seen 1 or 2 videos to this point where I've been shooting this shotgun. There are more to come, and I liked it enough that along with testing it, I wanted to have it as part of my collection. So it is here with the rest of the group. It is the only shotgun in the group, and so far it has been a very, very good shotgun, and it is number, what are we up to now? 8 in contention for my favorite firearm of 2023. Number 9 in my group of contenders is a firearm that I hesitated to put into this video because I have actually owned it for longer than 12 months, but during the course of 2023, the ATF decided that this particular firearm was no longer a pistol, that it was now a short-barreled rifle. It has been registered as a short-barreled rifle. As a result of that, it got pretty much a complete makeover to the point that I kind of think about it as a different firearm than I used to. So this might be a controversial addition. Some of you might think, that's not really quite keeping with the rules. But I wanted to go ahead and put it into the mix. It's a tremendous firearm in its own right. You might remember seeing it very recently in a video where I added the folding stock adapter to make it even that much easier to transport and stow. It has been 100% reliable. It is a Palmetto State Armory PA-15, and I could not be happier with it. And it's number 9 in contention with my favorite firearm, or for my favorite firearm rather, of 2023. The 10th and final contender for my favorite firearm of 2023 is the most recent addition to my collection. It is this Remington Model 700 SPS Varmint, chambered for the .308 Winchester cartridge. This rifle has been tested somewhat to date. It's going to be tested quite a bit more moving into the future. I have a lot of plans for this rifle. This is going to be something of a winter project, so you're going to see a lot more of it. And as I said, it is the final contender for my favorite firearm of 2023. So with the reintroductions all out of the way, it's time to start the process of elimination and start working toward my favorite firearm of the year. The first firearm that I'm going to eliminate is one that I really feel is too early in my time with it to be able to select it as a favorite, and that is my Remington Model 700 SPS Varmint. This may well end up being a favorite firearm in the months and maybe even years to come. But right now, as I said, I've just started working with it. It shows some promise. It has a couple of issues. I'm going to be working toward correcting those issues. But this is the first firearm I'm going to take out of contention. So there are 9 still in contention. Let's see what the next one is to go. The next one to leave the table is not leaving for any reason other than the other firearms on here I all like a little bit better. And there's nothing at all wrong with my Iver Johnson 1911A1 chambered for the .38 Super cartridge. The only thing that bothers me about it a little bit is the fact that it is dubbed as an A1 and it has a flat mainspring housing like the original 1911. That's always bothered me a little bit about this handgun. I know it's infinitesimal as far as a complaint, but that, and as I said, the fact that all the other ones on here I like a little bit better for one reason or another. There's nothing at all really wrong with this pistol. It shoots great. It has been tremendously reliable with the .38 Super cartridge, as I said when I reintroduced it. Even so, it is going to be the next firearm going out of contention for my favorite of 2023. So on we go, and next is going to be another handgun leaving the table. And this one is leaving really only because I never quite intended to add it as a handgun of my own into the collection. This is the Girsan MC14T. This pistol has a lot of things going for it. There's a lot I like about this handgun, especially for someone like my father-in-law who has some diminished dexterity, some reduced hand strength, and this firearm offers a lot of options for loading and shooting and safety manipulation in one thing or the other. So if you have someone that might fall into that category, they're getting a little older or they have some disabilities with their hands, this might be one you want to take a look at. And if you're curious, go back and look at my original videos. There are two with the MC14T. There's one from back probably around April or May, right in around that time frame. And then the one with this firearm that was probably more in the June or July time frame. So you can check that out, get all the information about it, but it is the next firearm that's going to leave contention for my favorite of 2023. So I've been standing here for a while staring at the table trying to figure out which one is going to leave next. I have not been looking at the clock, so I don't know how much time has ticked by, but it seemed like a long time. And I'm really having a hard time. I'm still in my mind going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. The next one that's going to leave is going to be my IWI Masada 9S. And this is a hard one because, as I said, this was my new, or is my new, concealed carry firearm for 2023. It's a fantastic handgun. There's nothing bad that I can say about it whatsoever. The reason that it's leaving the table now is because it's a little bit more utilitarian. It is a CCW firearm. It's not something that I got so much as a collection piece or because of some other association that I have with it as I do with some of these other firearms here. So this one hurts. I like this handgun. I like it a lot. So don't get the idea that I'm removing it from the table because I don't like it. I really do. But I am going to take it out of contention for my favorite of 2023. So on we go, folks. Next is going to be my Canik Mete SF. This is another one, much like my IWI Masada 9S, that I'm really not removing from contention because I dislike anything about it. In fact, I like just about everything about this handgun. But I like the other firearms on the table a little bit better. So unfortunately, one of them has to go, and in this instance, it's going to be the Canik Mete SF. So half of the contenders have been eliminated, and now it's really getting down to the gut-wrenching part of the selection process where I'm going to have to start removing firearms that I really, really like. And I like a lot of the ones that I've already taken off the table, as I've mentioned. And wow. I think the next one I'm going to remove is going to be the Mac 1014 shotgun. And my reasoning behind this is much the same it was with the Remington 700. That being, this is still in the testing phase, so I could discover something moving on into the future that I don't care for about this shotgun. And because I guess of that unknown, I'm going to take it out of contention. But so far, this has been a fantastic shotgun. I don't have any reason to expect that anything's going to change. But I am going to make it the next one that I remove from the table and take out of contention for my favorite firearm of 2023. So 4 contenders left, and it just gets harder and harder, folks. And we've still got the wild card that I wasn't even sure that I was going to put into the video on the table. Wow. 2 1911s, a classic Walther P99, and a tremendous Shorty AR. I think the next one that I'm going to remove from the table, I don't think, I know, is going to be the Tizosh Tank Commander. For no reason other than, again, there are things about these other firearms I like a little better, but I love this little pistol. I love the fact that it is set up in 1911 A1 configuration with the arch mainspring housing, the short trigger. It has a commander hammer, it's commander length. I've talked about before, it is an historical fiction because there was not a 1911 like this during World War II or back in that era. The commander didn't come around for some years after that, but it is still a wonderful little pistol. I really like it, but it is going to be the next one I remove from the table and take out of contention. So now I've moved things around a little bit to hopefully give you a better look at the three that are left. They are the Walther P99 Final Edition, the Tizosh Raider, and my Palmetto State Armory PA-15, my shorty AR that became an SBR this year. And the next one to leave the table is going to be my PA-15. And as I've said in the videos where I've discussed this rifle, as I've said more recently in this video, I really like this little firearm. It is great. It's drop dead reliable. It's accurate. For a AR-15 to be used in close confines that you might need to get in and out of places as inconspicuously as possible, it is very, very good in that role. That's what I used it for. And unfortunately, the two handguns that remain on the table, I like just a little bit more than I like this particular firearm. So I'm going to be removing it from contention, and now we've got the final two. So left on the table are two pistols, one of which is going to be my favorite firearm of 2023. The other is going to be the first runner-up. And it's kind of ironic. These were the first two firearms that really caught my attention this year, all the way back during the coverage from the 2023 SHOT Show. I saw both of these introduced there. As soon as I saw each of them, I knew that I was very interested in them, and if at all possible, I wanted to add them to my collection. I have added both of them. Now I have to choose between them to see which one is going to be my favorite for this year. There's only one way to break this tie, folks, and that is the Tizosh Raider is a clone of a Marine Corps pistol. I'm a Marine, most of you know that. The Walther P99 is not, and as much as I like the P99, it is going to be the final contender to leave the table. So my favorite firearm of 2023 is the Tizosh Raider. So here's one last look, folks. The Tizosh Raider takes the prize for my favorite firearm of 2023. If you didn't see the video on this, as I said a couple of times during this video, it is a clone of the Marine Corps' M45A1. It's chambered for the 45 ACP cartridge. It is a tremendous handgun, and it is my choice for my favorite firearm of 2023. And that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it'll save you 7% off your purchase from Optics Planet. Also, remember the discount code from House of Pain. You can go to House of Pain Armament or House of Pain Munitions and use my discount code there, which is HRFUNK10, and that'll save you 10% on your purchase from House of Pain. Last but not least, don't forget the Target sponsor for the channel. Go to Target's online, check out their website, and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time, folks. And until then, Happy New Year and good shooting. Bye-bye.